The Wall Street Journal says that baby boomers have accumulated something around $35 trillion worth of wealth. Now, the number that they have accumulated really varies from study to study. I've seen studies say that they've accumulated $50 trillion of wealth. Some people have said that they have accumulated $70 trillion worth of wealth. But let's assume that baby boomers have only accumulated $35 trillion worth of wealth. This is still almost 10 times more wealth than millennials have accumulated. And now as baby boomers get older, as they retire, as they begin to pass, this money is then going to be passed along to the next generations. In other words, millennials might be going from the poorest generation in recent history to the richest generation of all time. And there's some implications as to what that means for you and the economy. For one, every millennial isn't suddenly just going to become rich. I mean, you need to have rich parents that have a lot of money and a lot of assets in order for you to inherit a lot of money and a lot of assets. So you're going to see a difference between some people and others. Some people are going to get a lot of money and a big inheritance, and some people are going to get, well, nothing. Second, this great transfer of wealth is going to stimulate a lot of spending because, well, millennials like to spend money. That doesn't mean that the 2-hour line to get into Gucci is now going to become a 4-hour line, but it does mean that you're going to see a lot more spending happen in our economy. Some of this money is going to go to luxury companies like Gucci, and some of it is going to go to just more moral and sustainable type of companies because millennials love spending money on things that align with their morals and their values. And third, this one goes back to one of our core foundational financial theories. There's nothing certain in life except death and taxes. When we see this great transfer of wealth, you already know that the government is going to want to take their cut. So chances are you are going to see a change in the way that the government taxes this money because they've already started discussing a change in the way that estate money is taxed. Let's quantify what this means. According to Google, there are 76.4 million baby boomers in the United States of America. Let's do some basic math. If there is $35 trillion worth of wealth hoarded by baby boomers, and there are 76.4 million baby boomers, that means on average, a baby boomer should have around $450,000 worth of wealth saved in their retirement accounts that they are ready to use to retire. Except CNBC says that the average baby boomer only has $102,000 in their savings and another $138,000 in their retirement accounts. So if baby boomers only have $240,000 in their bank accounts and their investments, where's the difference? Where's the other $210,000? Well, this additional $210,000 isn't things like their home. This is equity that you have in the home that you live in. Or maybe it's art, or watches, or jewelry. These are money or wealth that boomers have accumulated, but this is not cash that they can spend. This is not money that they can use for their retirement unless they sell it, but this is not money in their savings or their retirement investment accounts. So even if the baby boomer generation spends all the money that they have in their savings and they spend all the money that they have in their retirement accounts in their golden years, well, that means that the average millennial, now I know this is not everybody, but average millennial is gonna get something like $210,000 passed down to them, which is about half of $35 trillion, which means there's going to be a lot of money actually flowing down to the next generation, even if the baby boomers go out and spend all the cash that they have. This means that we have some bad news and we also have some good news. Let's start with the bad news. The bad news is, for one, $240,000 really isn't a lot of money if this is all that you have to live off of. I mean, even if you follow the 4% rule, which says that you will be able to live off of just 4% of your retirement money each year. So you take 4% of your principal, 4% or $240,000 each year, and that's what you spend. Well, if you just live off of that 4% of $240,000, that's less than $10,000 a year. So that's not a lot of money. Now, if you get Social Security, you might be able to get a little bit more money, but still, even if you get Social Security, we're still talking about like $20,000 a year to live off of in your golden years, assuming you have $240,000. And remember, this is just the average. You have a lot of Americans that don't have $250,000 in their retirement accounts that are getting ready to retire. That means you're going to see more strain on millennials and young people trying to financially support their parents, and you're also going to see more financial strain on the system because the government is going to want to try to take care of the baby boomer generation, whether it be through healthcare, whether it be through welfare, and so you're going to see more strain on that, which means We are in a system right now where the government is already bombarded and overloaded with debt, and they're already spending more money that they're bringing in, and now they're probably going to have even more costs. Couple that with the fact that inflation is not slowing down, and we're seeing record high inflation, and the price of things keep going up, which means you need more money, which means a lot of baby boomers, while it looks like they have a lot of money, while they have the biggest wealth amount in the history of time, are still going to be struggling financially when it comes time to retire. The good news is if you have rich parents, or even if you don't have very rich parents, you have okay parents, chances are you are going to get some sort of inheritance, which should give you some sort of boost when it comes to building your wealth, which should, in theory, help grow the economy. Now, some of you are probably watching this video thinking, Jaspreet, my parents are not going to give me $250,000 inheritance. I don't know how you can say that that is the average inheritance. This $200,000 difference here is not the average inheritance. This is just a number that we were coming up with to show that there's going to be a lot of money that boomers have that they'll be able to pass down. So let's talk about inheritance and how much money you might be getting. The median inheritance in the United States is $69,000. Not bad, but also not a life-changing amount either. I mean, if you got $69,000 today, you'll feel good, you'll feel a little bit richer, but it's not going to change your life forever. I mean, you can use the $69,000 to maybe go out and buy one rental property, maybe help pay down your home, maybe go on a few nice vacations, but it's not going to change your life forever. It's not like you got $69 million, but it is a good, decent chunk of change. But this is where things get interesting. Remember, the $69,000 is the median. That means you take all the inheritance amounts and you put them on a chart, and then you just start slashing the highest and the smallest, the highest and the smallest, and this is the middle inheritance amount. But if you look at the average inheritance, this is where things get really interesting, because the average inheritance in the United States is $700,000. This is skewed by the rich, because rich people who are inheriting millions and millions of dollars are really able to outweigh the people that are getting an inheritance of $10,000. But the interesting part does not end there, because Wall Street is salivating. They cannot wait for this money to pass down from the baby boomers to the millennials, because for one, when people get an inheritance, they're very likely to go out and spend that money, statistically speaking. And on top of that, millennials like spending money, and they're very used to living paycheck to paycheck, and they don't mind the idea of taking the cash they have and going out and financing it to go out and buy even more stuff. Just take a look at this. 70% of inherited wealth is spent or lost in just 5 years. Now, if you've been watching The Minority Mindset and you subscribe to The Minority Mindset and somebody gave you $700,000, chances are you're going to say, oh, I can use this money to go out and invest in stocks, or maybe I can go out and buy some rental properties, or maybe I can buy some cryptocurrency, or maybe I'll go out and I'll invest in a startup, or maybe I'll start my own business. See, you are financially educated, but most Americans don't think that way. Almost half of working America has $0 invested today. And when I say $0 invested today, I don't mean that they don't have a Robinhood account or they don't have a Webull account. I mean that they don't have any sort of stock brokerage account. They don't have any rental properties. They don't have any cryptocurrencies. They don't have any business that they're invested in. They have no 401k. They have no IRA. They have no gold investments. They have nothing. No money invested whatsoever, and they're also not putting any money towards their investments. That's why I always say, if you want to be good with $1 million, you gotta first know how to be good with $1,000, because if you suddenly get a windfall of cash, if you suddenly get $50,000 or $500,000 or $5 million or even $5,000, it's really hard for me to believe that you're suddenly gonna say, oh, I just got some free cash. Let me go out and save this money. Let me go out and pay down some of my credit card debt. Let me go out and invest this money. That way I can become wealthy. I mean, the numbers have shown us that most of the time when people get this sort of inheritance, they're going to go out and spend this money. 70% of families have spent their entire inheritance in just a few years. This is why Wall Street can't wait, because right now we're entering a weird phase in our economy where our economy is slowing down. We're also facing very high inflation, and so companies don't know what's going to come next. So when this money flows from the older generation to the next generation, the millennial generation that likes to spend, they like to flex on Instagram, well, that means more people are going to go out and they're going to spend money at Gucci. More people are going to buy Louis Vuitton. More people are going to spend on Amazon. More people are going to be buying AirPods. More people are going to be going to Lululemon, which means these corporations are going to be making bigger profits, which means good news for their stock prices. Now, I don't know why you caught that, but there were two reasons right there why it is so important for you to get financially educated and financially smart now. That way you can build your wealth, because we are going to see a bigger divide between the rich and the poor. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide that goes over what passive income is, how to start generating passive income, and different passive income strategies. All you gotta do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.